He saw himself as a hero, a man who, without a second thought, ran toward danger to save a woman from a violent attacker. He did what many of us hope we'd have the courage to do, but in a horrifying twist, the life he fought to protect would be the one to take his. Continuing previous line. Now, the story you're about to hear is not a specific documented case. You won't find the name Mike or Sarah in any headline. Continuing previous line. Instead, this is a thought experiment, a cautionary tale that pulls together the very real and very dangerous complexities of trying to help in a crisis. This is the tragic and unbelievable story of how a selfless act of bravery could lead to a brutal and unforeseen conclusion. Picture a sweltering afternoon. For a man we're calling Mike and his wife Sarah, it was just another trip home. In a crowded parking lot, shouting shattered the peace. Across the asphalt, a man had a woman pinned against a car. Her cries for help were muffled, but you could hear the terror.
Narrator, VO. Hey, get away from her! Mike shouted as he sprinted across the sun-baked asphalt.
Rows of cars shimmered in the heat, grocery bags abandoned, and doors left ajar. His wife, Sarah, was busy strapping their 3-month-old daughter into her car seat, only half aware of the world until Mike's voice jolted her. Heart pounding, she slammed the passenger door and hurried to his side. This is a moment of decision most of us, thankfully, will never face. We've all heard of the bystander effect, that well-documented phenomenon where people are less likely to help if others are around, assuming someone else will step up. But Mike was alone. He saw someone in clear danger, and his only instinct was to help. He ran toward the fight, a decision that could seal his fate in the most unimaginable way. As Mike got closer, the scene was even worse than he thought. The man was furious, and the woman was terrified. With no regard for his own safety, Mike put himself right between them, yelling at the attacker to get back. A brief, tense struggle followed. The aggressor, surprised by a stranger getting involved, shoved Mike. But that was enough to break the spell. Bruised and bleeding, the woman stumbled against a battered sedan, dazed and barely able to stand. She was crying and shaken, leaning against the car to hold herself up. Blood trickled from her nose, staining her mouth as she clung to the car for support. The man, taller and stronger, cursed viciously, trying to shove Mike aside. Sarah kept a respectful distance, asking if the woman was okay and if she should call the police. In that moment, Sarah and her husband were the protectors. The danger seemed to have passed. The heroes had won. But what could happen next is what makes these situations so terrifyingly unpredictable. At that moment, the man broke free, hurling insults at both his wife and Mike, veins bulging with anger.
Honey, this isn't our fight. Let's go.
As Mike reached for his phone to call for help, the woman's demeanor could shift on a dime. Imagine her sobs twisting into angry shouts. "Leave us alone!" she screams at him. "It wasn't your business!" Mike is stunned into silence. He tries to reason with her, explaining he was only trying to help, but her panic and rage have found a new target: him. Before he can even process this sudden change, she lunges. It's not until he feels a sharp, searing pain in his side that he realizes what's happened. In her hand is a small knife he never saw. The woman he just saved has stabbed him. In the chaos, Sarah fell to her knees, frozen, watching as the woman, eyes wild, rose and drove her knife into Mike. Sarah's scream was raw and unending, but the attacker only realized her mistake after the third strike. Panic seized her. She raced back to her car, engine roaring as her own husband tried to follow, only to be struck and left in the dust as she screeched away. Adrenaline surged through the other man. He staggered towards Sarah and Mike's idling car, where the engine still ran in the suffocating heat, the baby asleep in her carrier. Without thinking, he slid behind the wheel, slammed the door, and sped off, tires screeching, desperate to chase after his wife, never even noticing the infant in the back. Sarah was left screaming, chasing her vanishing car, her world collapsing with every step. She collapsed beside her bleeding husband, desperately calling for help as his life ebbed away in her arms. The question of why is what makes this scenario so haunting. Why would a victim attack the very person who saved them? We'll explore the complicated psychology behind this unbelievable betrayal in a moment. But if you're finding this story compelling, take a second to hit that subscribe button. We explore the tough cases and concepts that challenge everything you think you know about human nature. To understand such a shocking reaction, we have to look at the messy and often counterintuitive dynamics of domestic violence and bystander intervention. This kind of hostile reaction toward a rescuer can be driven by several factors, including a deep-seated fear of the abuser's retaliation later on, shame, or a complex trauma bond with their attacker. This bond can create a fiercely protective, though dysfunctional, loyalty. The victim may feel that the intervention, however well-intentioned, will only lead to worse violence for them later. The abuser is far more likely to blame the victim for the intervention, which can put them in even greater danger after the helper is gone. While direct intervention can feel like the right thing to do, it carries significant risks. One study found that nearly 15% of bystanders who intervene in intimate partner violence are threatened themselves. In intimate partner homicides, a staggering 20% of the victims are not the partners themselves, but family members, friends, or even bystanders who tried to help. Mike's heroic impulse ran headfirst into a psychological minefield he couldn't possibly have seen from across a parking lot. So what are we supposed to do? If stepping in physically can be so dangerous, does that mean we should just do nothing? Absolutely not. But experts and research point towards safer, more effective ways to intervene. Physically rushing in is often the riskiest option and should be a last resort. Instead, consider other approaches. First, and most importantly, call the authorities. If a situation seems violent or is escalating quickly, calling 911 is the safest and most effective way to de-escalate it. Second, create a distraction. Honking a car horn, asking for directions, or causing some other kind of commotion can interrupt the incident without direct confrontation. Finally, delegate. Get other people involved. There is safety in numbers, and a group response sends a stronger message while diffusing the personal risk. These strategies honor the instinct to help while dramatically lowering the danger for everyone. The story of the hero stabbed by the person he saved, while a hypothetical, is a tragic reminder that good intentions aren't always enough. It forces us to confront a difficult truth. Intervening in violence is complicated. It requires not just courage, but also judgment. While the bravery of someone like Mike is undeniable, this scenario highlights the devastating consequences of wading into a crisis without understanding its hidden depths. It's a powerful lesson that the most heroic act isn't always direct confrontation. Sometimes it's making the smart call that ensures everyone stays safe. What would you have done in that situation? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe for more stories that make us question everything.